We're live and you're watching Howler on YouTube.
Yeah! Where's Vinny? Alright, good morning guys. Let me get my coffee. Got tagged by Ghostcritic to do a top 10 comics of mine. And I've done a video where I show the comics that were kind of important to me growing up and everything. And what I did is I really, thought about some of this. I had a big list, and I'm going to kind of do a little cheat here. I'm going to show you what didn't make the list, okay? Without getting into over-explanation. I ended up coming up with probably 25 comics, 20 comics, and then when I got down to what I have here, it was just really hard. So, X-Men 268, great story. The one that did not make the list that I really went back and forth, because when we were on the bus growing up and stuff, we'd talk about how would you kill these guys, and Garth Ennis apparently, apparently it's common sense, Punisher kills the Marvel Universe. The way they killed the Hulk, the way they killed some of the other characters, we came up with that on the bus in like 1983, Broke my heart not to put this in there. What if Conan walked the earth today? Enough said. Goon number 3. If you guys not reading this book, back up, get the trades. Ouch. And since I couldn't decide on one Commandy, I just put them both in. Now, on to the top 10. These books are probably keep drawing me back, pop out in my head out of everything I got here, because they are what I like to think what a comic book is when it hits that sweet spot. Sweet spot is the writer and artist, whatever, everybody involved. They've just hit that spot where they are telling a comic book story. They're not pitching a movie idea. They're not trying to make a big screen a movie, in the book. Nothing wrong with that. Some great stuff came out of that. But to me, there's a way of storytelling in comics that can only happen in comics. It draws you in. Time is set aside. You reread the book. They make you think, or they make you have a feeling. And as I get into these books, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. I have not looked at the stack since I put it together a few days ago. So at number 10, we have Hero. Number 11. I believe this is Will Pfeiffer. And what they did is they took the old Silver Age concept of Dial H for Hero, and he had a series come out that it's the story of the Dial and how people will get powers and how they react. I love this one because a caveman basically becomes super caveman. And I haven't read it in a while, but what I remember is that it shows two archaeologists, I guess, walking through the museum of in Metropolis, I believe, and they found a cave. And you see flashbacks of the story. The Dial comes down to Earth, lands in a bunch of nomadic cavemen, and one dials it and becomes super caveman. They get attacked by a woolly mammoth or a saber-toothed tiger, and he's poking a hole in their skull. And the archaeologists are making all these discoveries, like, how did this happen? Why do all these skulls have that one little hole? It's almost like a bullet hole. And you see that the super caveman is actually evolving a little bit faster. His brain is working. He starts flying off and seeing the Earth, and he's drawing everything he sees in this cave that they've discovered in Metropolis, and they don't understand it. He's doing three-dimensional drawings with perspective and stuff, basically with his finger, thousands of years before man did it. And then you find out where he went. They start getting to know this caveman through what they have found, and you get to see with him. And the ending of it is just touching. I mean, he just wanted to see everything in the world, and he did it. And the last page, the last panel, it broke my heart. I mean, in a good way. He got to see everything he wanted to see, and that's enough of that. Hero number 11. If you find it in a dollar bin, please get it, Secret Wars number 10. I did a whole video months ago about, some things that popped up in religion, but to me, Secret Wars tricked a lot of people. It was a Doctor Doom story. It was in my opinion, 10, 11, and 12 of Secret Wars was the last great Doctor Doom story. Basically, it is Doom against God. in my opinion. And you know, they have, this cover is to me the last great Doctor Doom moment, the last great Doctor Doom story. And this is what, from 83, 84, 1984. We're going on 27 years. Come on, Marvel. Justice League number 5. When Justice League number 4 came out, they announced there was going to be the Batman Guy Gardner fight. Guy Gardner without his ring. Anybody that read this series knows Guy Gardner thought he was going to be leading the Justice League, and he was the big man. And I laughed when I heard the fight was coming down. I'm like, come on. And I probably would have dropped the book after this if it went any other way than what I predicted. Me and my brother were talking, and my brother and I were talking, and I was like, that'd be a one-punch fight. Oh my God, it was a one-punch fight. And Blue Beetle, Wahahan, and Black Canary coming in, putting her head down, saying, oh my God, I missed it. I can't believe I missed it. And they got tons of mileage out of this fight, or if you even want to call it a fight. And the actual panel that Kevin McGuire drew of Batman's fist connecting to Guy Gardner is painful. Painful. They've gone back and they've showed what, you know, they've gone back years later and showed what happened in between the panels and stuff, like Guy Gardner laid there knocked out and bumped his head again over a mouse, and just, you know, tons of mileage out of that one. Okay, these two, I am doing this. I know it's a top 10, but these two books are one story and they go together, okay? New Mutants Special Edition number 1. This thing has been stolen, and yes, stolen off me at least 3 times, and I've always looked up and found a cheap copy. And, you know, the X-Men number 9 goes right with it. Art Adams' art, and the whole concept of these mutants being in, oh my God, I'm going blank, Asgard, and what they go through on Asgard. Great storytelling. I mean, you know, a lot of great books in the 80s. Frank Miller's Daredevil, and you know, John Byrne's Claremont's X-Men, all, you know, everything that pops in your head when you think of 80s. This is so overlooked in my opinion. To me, this was Claremont getting to be a writer. This is Art Adams doing art that cannot be contained on the page like so much of his other stuff. I know he didn't deliver. I know he was slow. And I hate that he's on the Mutant books, because I'd love to see what else he did, but just amazing storytelling. Loki at his best. Enchantress looking the best she ever did. Love the stuff with Sunspot and the Warriors 3. Great stuff. Fondly remember those. And no, I don't have the X-Men versus Alpha Flight with the art by Paul Smith, because to me it's kind of redundant. I guess it feels like it's a completely different story for you people who've read it. You might know, you might agree, you might disagree. They put it in the trade. This is all the Asgardian Wars, I think is what they call it. It's in trade, but those are my 2 parts. Storm becomes the new goddess of thunder through Loki's manipulations. Just awesome. Okay, Golden Age number 4. James Robinson and Paul Smith put this out, and this is basically an Elseworld story, which he pulled some stuff into Starman from before James Robinson did his big run of Starman in the 90s. Another book you need to check out, and that almost made the list. And basically what I want to say here is that this has got the greatest fight scene in comics ever. And I did a little video about the Flash not too long ago, in the Silver Age, where it began and everything. And there is, you know, Captain Strangelove pointed out, and I completely agreed with them, that, you know, some people consider Captain Comet popping up, and that may be the beginning of the Silver Age. Well, he's in this. He pops up. This is actually a transition of the Golden Age into the Silver Age, with the ultimate villain from the Golden Age. That's all I want to tell you. And Paul Smith, who does the art in this, he has a background in animation. Worked on animation. I want to say he worked with Ralph Bakshi, but I haven't checked my facts. And it shows in this. Just the most well choreographed, hurtful, painful, almost poetic, and it feels like it has foreplay. It feels like it has a climax, and it feels like you have that breathing where you need a cigarette after it. Alright. New Frontier number 1 with Darwin Cook. This one I went ahead and put in here because it's not so much the beginning of the New Frontier story, it's the epilogue of the story of the losers. And basically what happens is the losers are on a dinosaur island, or whatever they called it. And they're being taken out one by one by these dinosaurs. And the last one left is Johnny Cloud, American native. And he's going to take out the big Tyrannosaurus Rex that's taking out them, and Rex the Wonder Dog. There he is. Okay. And I love what he does here. He let me find it. Oh, good grief. Watch me not be able to do it now. But he has a whole little story. He's keeping a journal of what's going on here. And, you know, as they keep dying from all this, he does this little epilogue that I just find is amazing. Let me see here. Here it is. He goes, "In the sky above me is a miracle. When I was born, I was named after a great mounted warrior of the clouds, and now here he was, a grand and silent witness to my death. I decided it's the last thing I want to see. I close my eyes and I take flight." And he jumps into the mouth of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then he continues, "In my family, ask my family, and they'll tell you I was a Navajo. Ask the Army Air Force, and they'll say I was an American. But if you ask my brothers, they'll set you right. Johnny Cloud was a loser." And as everybody died, he made a little memorial to each one of them with their rifle and their helmet on top of there. And when I read that, I just was like, I'm ready. And actually, New Frontier was awesome. It was great, but I wanted to see more of that. And I wanted to see that included in the New Frontier cartoon they did, Justice League, direct to DVD. And if you look in the background, you'll see a little nod, a little wink to it where it says this is the story of the losers. Alright, moving on if you guys have hung in there. Number 18 of Sandman Dream Country. What is wonderful about this is this goes to a certain kind of storytelling that could only be pulled off in comics, in my opinion. Maybe this could be animated. I don't know, but I think it'll lose something. But these house cats are all coming to get this kitten out of the house. It shows him being pampered and loved, and he's getting his food and everything like that. And they all sneak out and they go to a graveyard to hear the one story of this cat. The cat is traveling the world, telling the story of what the world was like before humans changed it. And humans changed it because 1,000 of them had the same dream. Before the world that we live in was here, cats were humongous. And 5, 6, 7, 8 of us would like crawl on top of the cats and pet them and pamper them. And just for fun, they'd track us down and play with us and eat us like we were the mice. And then the Sandman, Morpheus, the King of Dreams there, he made the world. He was able to make the world change because 1,000 humans were able to have the same dream of them ruling the world. Well, this cat, who was mad because they took, she picked her lover, and they had kittens, and the people took her kittens and tied them in a bag and threw them in the water. And then she had a dream, and it shows the cat's dream. And she meets Morpheus, who's in cat form, and tells her this story. Tells her if you can get 1,000 cats to have the same dream, the world will change again. And then it shows the cats on her journey. It shows the cat jumping on a boat. It shows, to get across the ocean. It shows the cat walking through Africa, telling the story of lions. It's just wonderful. And then the kitten goes home and it's looking all cute, and they're wondering, what did cats dream about? She's probably chasing a mouse or something, and it's dreaming that dream that could change the world if 999 other cats can change it. Kelly Jones does the art that is amazing in this. It's a cat story. I can't, who knew? Only in comics, in my opinion. Look at this page. Okay. I mean, it's just beautiful. Great stuff. Great stuff. Alright, moving on here. Now, part of the comics is realizing you have that page. And the greatest stories told, even when the writer and the artist are right there and they're in sync, they're hitting that sweet spot that I'm talking about. You should be able to judge a comic by the fact that you can open the comic book, never read one word, and still follow the story. Okay? One of my big problems with Marvel nowadays, with a lot of the talking heads and stuff, but I'm not, they're still it's Marvel. They're still doing great stuff, but that's kind of what turned me off. Maybe I'm old school with this stuff. And the greatest example of somebody telling a story through panels is Bone, number 16, and we're on number 3 here. Okay, And this is basically Bone and Grandma and Thorn all trapped in the forest at night during a thunderstorm while the rat creatures are trying to find them. And I read this in the trade. I got the watercolor trades through Scholastic. They're colored. It looks like almost like watercolor, but I mean it's just beautifully done. And a lot of people are purists with Bone and love it in black and white. I prefer it in color. It's all good though. But I had to go back and get the original of this because this was done with a black and white comic in mind, no doubt about it. And this book just drew me in with this one page. Bear with me; it's worth finding. But I read an interview with Jeff Smith, and they were talking. They asked him a question: do you really know need to know how to draw to do comics? He said, absolutely not. You just need to be able to tell a good story, and that's exactly what he did in this issue. The whole issue is just them hiding out in the shrubs, trying to get away from the dragon creatures. And here's the page that got me. I want to make sure I get this one really well in there. First panel, darkness behind them. They're in a tree. Lightning cracks, and you see all the rat creatures trying to find them. And then we're back to the lightning gone, and they're still huddled up there. And that just blew me away. So simple, no words, and it's an oh shit moment. I mean, I haven't seen anything that tenseful since, intenseful, if that's a word, that tense in a story since Lord of the Rings, when the hobbits are leaving the Shire and they're hiding under the roots of a tree on the side of the road, while the dude on the Witch King or whatever it is on the horse is looking for him. I mean, great stuff. It just made me a fan. Now, I mentioned this book a lot in the video, so how can I not include it? Okay, I'm not the biggest Joe Kubert fan. Okay, Joe Kubert is amazing. Joe Kubert's been doing comics for over 70 years, and love his Tor stuff. I mean, I think I like almost everything except his hero stuff, really, to tell you the truth, and none of his stuff's bad. But it's when he was writing and penciling the Tarzan of the Apes book for DC after they got the license from, I think, Gold Key. Okay, this is number 207. And the artwork that he does in this, retelling the origin of Tarzan, you can hear the jungle. You can hear the silence of the jungle when he shows Tarzan was raised by an ape. She took Tarzan as an infant because her baby had just died. And he didn't even really draw the apes into one panel I'm talking about. I might as well go ahead and find it. He drew a line for the vine, and he drew one dot, and then he drew one dot falling. And you can hear the silence that fell across the jungle, in my opinion. It was, it was so simple and so perfect. I just, could not believe what I'd just seen. Well, right there. That's the baby ape falling. If that had not happened, and look, I mean, they even knew about the colors. They made it to make it stand out. They used the colors, and that's what I'm talking about, man. Sometimes it's better not to say anything and let the pictures tell the story, and that's up to the writer to figure out. And then they figure out how they put it at the last panel, almost like that one page built up to that climax, and then they colored it so where it stood out from the panel. It gives it an impact. There's a whole psychology that writers and artists that they use, and colorists and everybody uses to make an impact in the story, the ebb and flow, to draw you in, the tempo, momentum through the story. And being aware of that stuff and picking it up kind of makes a lot of comics hard to read because they're serials. They come out every month, and these guys got a job to do. They got to get it out. They got to rush these stories. They got to deal with editors and deadlines and stuff. So I understand why every comic cannot be a masterpiece. But when comics like that are out there, that's what makes an impact, and that's what stands out. So maybe there's a trick there to doing the best work that you can, even with what you're dealt to do with. I don't make comics, but if my whole job was to make comics, I think I'd be passing this stuff around saying, here's what makes a good comic story, Who knows? Man, I don't know if I want to open this next book. I'm sure everybody out there got there. I have a mint set of this where I think 6 to 7 issues have never been opened or touched or anything. But this is the pinnacle, in my opinion, of the best comic book ever written. And let me back up here. It's not so much the story that's the best. This is where everything you can do in a comic book story is done. This could only be told in a comic book. Watchmen #2. Forget the other 11 issues. Okay. What had happened is that Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, when they were doing this story, Alan Moore only had 6 issues worth of material to tell the story. So to make it 12, every other issue was an origin issue. None of them were wasted. And what they did with this is, you know, the panel layouts, the secondary colors, everything they did was just amazing. But what makes this awesome, that set the whole tone for the book, this issue, in my opinion, is more important than issue 1 and issue 3. You know, 1 introduced everybody in this world. Issue 3 is where the symbolism that's in the book, I'm not going to do a whole video on Watchmen, you know, it really started taking shape by accident. But in this book, this set the tone for the book. This showed you what the world was really like. And it's a trick. It's, you know, comedian's funeral. A bunch of characters are remembering, you know, the comedian, and everything that they remember is going to pop back up in the book by the end to you know, give you that aha moment. But what they did is that it's two things. They took everything that was sort of cliche in comic books, those great moments you knew, that you knew what was going on. Crime Busters were formed by Captain Metropolis, and they're all bright and everything like that. It's like crime has not stopped, and if we just organize our skills and become the Crime Busters, we can fight crime. And all of a sudden you hear comedian bullshit. It's all bullshit. You're just midlife crisis and you want to feel important again. And there's 3 or 4 little versions of that through the book. So what he's done is he's taken the old serials where you had 2 or 3 stories of different heroes, like Tales to Astonish, Tales to Suspense, and that's what he's done here. Everybody gets a little spotlight, but he's taken the, you know, great hero moments where we're all inspired, we're all going to band together and stuff, and I want to be a hero, and I'm all, you know, everybody that's saying that their causes are noble and pure and gallant and stuff, he's calling it what it is. So you had the great comic book world getting squashed, hammered by reality, and that's what Groucho, the comedian is. I've said Groucho because the comedian has a mustache and a cigar, you know, but basically what he is he's reality. He's reality washing over our comic book fantasy to let you know that this book is not going to be about comics. It's not a comic book story. He tricked us. Okay. Well, that's my top 10, and I'm going, if you made it this far, I'm going to tag 2 people if this trend is still going on. I think it's been going on for a while, but I'm going to tag SuperGreyHulk if he hasn't already been tagged, and I'm going to tag ECWFan. Let's see y'all's top 10. Alright, thanks a lot, guys.